Okay guys, we're going to be taking a look at the Eachine Falcon 210 Pro in this video. So let me go ahead and grab everything out of the box and we'll put it out on the table here so we can take a close look at everything. So this is the ready to fly version of the 210 Pro. So you're going to get the quad battery charger, and also the radio. And I believe this is the Eachine i6 radio, which is the clone of the FlySky i6 radio. So let me get that out of here. And this is what it looks like, and you've seen this before on my channel. I think the Eachine VTail 210 came with the same radio as well. The quad out. Get power cords for the charger. And looks like you get a standard B3 charger here. So this is what it looks like, and you can charge 2S and 3S batteries with that through the balance lead. Get some instructions for the B3 charger. Get a circular polarized antenna for the video transmitter. It's a bind plug for the receiver that's included. Okay. And this is the battery that they're including here. It's a Eachine branded 1500 milliamp hour 3S battery, and it comes with an XT60 connector. It's pretty small for a 1500, and it doesn't have. Okay, so here's the C rating. It says it's a 25C battery, so not exactly a powerhouse battery here. So here's the quad, and looks like they've strapped the props here onto the quad with this battery strap. So it looks like you get two sets of props, a set of black and a set of green, and it looks like this is a 5045 bullnose propeller. I don't know what brand it is, but it looks like kind of looks like a King Kong propeller. King Kongs have this little three dimple pattern on the hub. But yeah, it's not labeled other than that, so it's a 5045 bullnose, and you get two sets of props. Okay, so here's the quad itself. It's already obviously totally fully built and comes with everything. You get 4 motors and ESCs, and you get an FPV system, camera, and video transmitter. This is an SP Racing F3 board that's in there. There's the USB port and some of the micro connectors for the UARTs. Here are the antennas for the receiver, and oh my, the receiver is just on the bottom here. How is this mounted? It looks like it's mounted with some double-sided foam tape right there, and there. So not exactly the most secure setup here, and it looks like based on the design of this, where you have very little space between this main plate and this bottom plate, looks like they weren't able to get the receiver inside there. You can see there's hardly any space at all between the video transmitter and this PDB board, which is why they've put the receiver in this very awkward location. And very interesting. And it looks like they're not using PPM or S-Bus or I-Bus, they're using PWM. These are individual servo cables for all of the different channels here. And it looks like they're using 5 channels, so that's interesting. Yeah, this is not, I'm not too thrilled about this. I mean, these wires could get snagged up on a tree branch or something. The receiver is really unprotected. It could get totally ripped out in a crash. Wow, that's I would not have designed it this way. I think I would have liked it rather they would have made a little bit more space here in between these two plates and allowed you space for that receiver, but it doesn't look like you're going to be able to do that with this camera plate here for the FPV camera. I think it's not really, it doesn't look like this is used for anything other than an HD camera mount here. But it just, there's a lot of space between the prop and the camera holder here. So this might be kind of useless. Let me see a prop on here. Oh wow, so as you can see, the prop overlaps this top plate here, or this plate where the arm comes out. So, and it almost touches the protrusion where the camera goes. So you can see there, if you have any kind of an overhang for that camera, it's going to get hit by the prop. And that's a very narrow space. I don't think that would fit a Runcam 2 or a GoPro Session. Let me go get those cameras and let me see if they'll fit. Okay, so I got a few cameras here. Let's see. Yeah, if we put this is a GoPro Session. So if we mounted a GoPro Session here, it definitely is going to get hit by the prop on either side. There's not enough space for that. And this is the original Runcam. And that's also going to get hit by the prop. Runcam 2 is definitely going to get hit by the prop. It's bigger than the original Runcam. And you can see here that's also going to get hit by the prop. So I'm not sure what kind of an HD camera we can put on top of here. So this whole plate here might be kind of useless. Anyway, I might, if that's the case, I might want to put some bigger standoffs in here and bring this down, put more space in here, and then ultimately stick the receiver back here where it's going to be more protected. But I'm going to fly it as it is out of the box. I'm going to try, as I'm trying to do for all my reviews, so that people that do end up buying this can get a realistic experience on how these things perform without having to do a lot of legwork to make it more, or make it better than it is out of the box. So let's first see how these work out of the box first, and then we can then do some improvements and modifications at some point down the road. So let's get a few measurements here. This main plate comes in at 2.6 millimeters. It's pretty thin. Double check that here. Yeah, 2.6 here, and let's check it over here as well. So it looks like they've tried to reduce the weight of this by going with a thinner main plate. I would have preferred at least a 3 millimeter plate there, because this is a unibody design, so if you break this arm, you're going to have to get a whole new plate, not just replace one arm. And then the bottom plate here comes in at 1.4 millimeters. So let me just see how much this thing weighs. This is without the battery, and then throw on the video transmitter antenna too. Okay, so with everything here except for the battery comes in at about 326 grams, and then if we throw on the battery, it comes in at 434 grams. So it comes in a little bit on the lighter side. Usually these 210 or 200 size 5-inch frames are going to be around 500 or more. So these motors that are on here are actually 2204 2300 kV motors, and there was some confusion that I was noticing on the product page where it looked like they were selling these with 2205 motors, but these are in fact the 2204 motors, and I think these are the ones that originally came with the original Falcon 210, not the 210 Pro. And I believe that one would only swing 4-inch propellers, so it was it did not perform very well. This same motor on a 5-inch prop should be a lot better, although I'm disappointed that I'm not going to be able to get HD camera on the top here, which is what this was intended for. May have to come up with something different to get that to work. You got a camera here in the front. This looks like a standard CMOS camera. Probably nothing special. I would say 600, 700 TV line. The video transmitter is your typical video transmitter with the LEDs and push button for changing your channels and switch bands. And that's going to be 200 milliwatts. And I think this is a RP SMA connector here. So it's got the pin on the video transmitter side instead of the antenna side. Got some LEDs here in the back, but I'm pretty sure these aren't programmable. I'll check that in CleanFlight. And that's about it in terms of the quad itself. I think the ESCs are 20 amp ESCs, but there's no indication if they're BLHeli or BLHeliS or what kind of ESCs are, so I'm going to hook that up to BLHeli Suite and see what I can see, if anything. So let me go to the computer and we'll hook it up to the configurator and see how it's set up and see if it needs to be bound or not. So go ahead and connect to the flight controller with Betaflight configurator. This does come with Betaflight 3.01 already flashed on there, and the flight controller that's on there is the SP Racing F3 board. There's 3 UARTs, but none of them are being used for a receiver because in the config here we can see that the receiver is a PWM receiver as we saw earlier. And I did check failsafe on this particular transmitter. The transmitter does come pre-bound to that receiver that's on there, and failsafe does in fact work. You should double check this on yours just in case, because some of these Eachine models have been known to come from the factory with failsafe not configured in the transmitter, so something you should double check. Let's take a look at the PID tuning, and it looks like these are pretty much default settings for Betaflight out of the box. 43, 58, 20, and 22 for the D, and these are the default rates. I'm gonna just change these rates here because I like these rates a little better. It feels better for me. So that's probably one of the only things I'm gonna change. I'm gonna fly with the stock PIDs, and Betaflight 301. It should fly okay out of the box. Although I like it a little bit, the gains to be a little bit higher than this, but I think it'll be just fine. So I'll go ahead and I'll just fly it as it is and let you guys know how that feels. Here is the receiver tab, and I have the transmitter turned on. You should always check that your channels are mapped correctly, so that roll is roll and pitch is pitch, and that they're moving in the correct direction. And they look like they all are. The let's see here. The modes aren't set up for anything, so it's going to be stick arming, and it's going to be acro mode right out of the box. So if you need to fly angle mode or horizon mode, you have to add these in here, and probably have to add that to a switch, like an auxiliary channel, like channel 5 or channel 6. I'm going to just fly it exactly the way it came, and I'm totally comfortable flying acro mode, so it's not a problem for me. I don't believe that any of these other tabs are going to be used for anything. There are 8 megabytes of black box flash data available. I'm not really sure how useful that's going to be, so I'm probably not going to use that initially. Maybe down the road if I need to do some additional tuning. So that's about it for the config on the computer. So at this point, let's go ahead and give it a fly. So as I'm flying this around, my initial impressions are the gain on the P is a little low, and it doesn't feel responsive. I'm kind of just cruising around here, and my sense is that the inputs are delayed, and I sort of realized, like a little bit later into the flight, that I'm flying something or receiver that is connected via PWM, and I haven't flown anything on PWM in a pretty long time. So I had forgotten what the latency felt like, and that's essentially what I figured out here. There's latency in the inputs that I'm giving, and I'm not seeing the reaction in the flight as quickly as I'm used to, because I'm pretty much flying iBus or SBus exclusively, which is even faster than PPM. So it took me a little bit here to get used to that, and I do kind of figure it out right away and try and adjust my flying for that, but I'm limited to what I feel comfortable doing. I think I attempted to do a punch out there, and I noticed that because air mode is off, and when I drop the throttle it would essentially start tumbling, and then I realized, oh, I can't do that. I need to maintain my throttle to do these rolls, and when I do these rolls, I realize that there's a lot of bounce back, so the D gains are definitely too low. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to switch the receiver out completely. I just don't feel like I can fly this to its potential with the receiver that's installed, so I'm going to have another video where I'll mod it, and because there's no room in the back there, I'm probably just going to use the micro receiver, the FSA8S receiver, and use it on iBus. So I'll have a video on how to mod the Falcon 210 Pro for the micro receiver, and I'll fly it with my Turnigy Evolution and my normal setup, so I'll have a better idea of how well this thing can perform. Even on 3S here, it has pretty good power because it's fairly a light setup, so I think it has some potential. Something else I'm also noticing is that the ESCs with motors don't feel as responsive in the throttle input, and it might be partially due to the PWM setup, but it could also be due to the way the ESCs are configured, which I discovered that I was unable to connect to the ESCs via BL HeliSuite, so I think it's using some kind of a proprietary firmware, and I really couldn't tell you how it's set up. It just felt like it didn't really have good motor braking, or just didn't feel like a normal BL Heli ESC that I would normally fly. And I have no idea what kind of an ESC it is. I couldn't tell you. I'd have to take it apart or something. Even then, I'm not really sure, because when you plug it in, it gives you like these weird tones that don't sound like your normal ESC tones, and they're so definitely the tones from a BL Heli ESC for sure. So it's definitely some sort of proprietary ESC, which I think is kind of a downside for this model. I wish they would have used some BL Heli ESCs, because they're not that expensive and pretty easy to get, and everyone knows how to set them up, and you know what to expect. So I'd recommend for Eachine in the next version to get some BL Heli ESCs, or even some BL Heli ESCs. I think that would be the way to go, because pretty much anything out there these days should be BL Heli S, I think, in my opinion. Anyway, guys, that's the end of this flight. I'm going to have another video with a couple of mods, hopefully not too crazy, so we can get this thing flying a little bit better. I think it definitely has some potential, but right now, and in its current form, it's a little bit limited. Still flies, not terribly, but for my standards, I think could definitely use some improvements. So anyway, guys, hope you like this video. Look forward to another mod video for this in the near future. So stay subscribed to my channel to get a glimpse of that, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.